Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am sorry that it's been so long since I've done a video. I've been meaning to get this video out for weeks now, and it's just I haven't had the time. To kind of preface this video and explain where I am, I know in my last video I talked about going on a road trip, and this is where I am. So it has not gone as planned. Um, does anything go as planned? I don't know. So the plan was to make the trek here to Colorado and to camp. And the first night of camping was great. I went to my first campsite, had no problems. Went to my second one, and the weather was just not as expected. It was pouring rain, like around the time that I was getting ready to go to bed. So I had already set up my tent and everything. And then the wind came in, and it was just not fun. Needless to say, I am now in an Airbnb, and it was not planned. I really didn't want to spend money on a hotel or any type of lodging except for my campsite. So it's been a little bit out of my budget, but I'm not upset. I think that everything happens for a reason. And so I'm in this really beautiful skiing town called Breckenridge. It's absolutely beautiful. So anyways, everything happens for a reason. I'm not upset. I've been really inspired while being here, and I used to be like really I'm very creative. I love to write and all those types of things, and I've just been stuck in a rut lately where I haven't been wanting to do the things that I've been wanting to do, and it's not because of depression or anything. It's really just because I think a change of scenery is what I needed. And I've just been stuck kind of, I don't know, doing the same thing. And so I just needed a break. But anywho, I might ramble a little bit in this video, and I'm sorry. There might be a lot of cuts and things like that because I'm kind of just doing this video with a very loose type of script, I guess. I have my computer next to me and just some bullet points that I want to hit, but yeah, I might go off, chasing a rabbit or something like that, but that's okay. So, welcome to my channel. I'm sorry. That was a bit of a ramble, but I wanted to kind of update you guys. I really wanted to film like a video of me camping and like showing you guys everything, and so now that that's kind of out the window, that's okay. Better things are in store, right? So, let's get started. A couple weeks ago, I was in Matthew 24, and I started really diving in deep to the Lord. It says right here, Jesus speaks about the future in Matthew 24, and he's really alerting us to what is to come, right? And we know that Jesus is coming back, and here he talks about how no one's going to know. It's going to be kind of unexpected. Well, it is going to be unexpected when he comes back. And part of me and me being human is, and I think that we all kind of do it, where we think, well, we'll read the signs, and we'll know when he's on his way back, And you even have people out here prophesying, and other YouTubers who are for sure they know when he's coming back, which we all know that that's impossible to know, but we get very caught up in wanting to know when or trying to piece together everything, which I think that we should read the signs in Daniel and in Revelation, but at the same time, Jesus reminds us in 24, which I think is really interesting. He tells us over and over, it's going to come when you least expect it, which I think puts a little bit of, I think it puts me on edge a little bit, right? And so that kind of started getting me thinking about our world and how we are so locked in to our everyday lives that we forget what we're here for, and we forget what we're meant to do. we forget what we're living for, that we are sojourn. Sojourn means that we're just here temporarily. We're just, it's like a bus stop basically. Like this is our bus stop. um, we're not meant for this world. So we are just here for a little bit, but we're also human, and so the Lord understands that, and we get caught up in life and what life is, but we should never lose focus on what we're here for. But I started to think, flash forward a little bit. In verse 46 to 51, basically, I'll kind of preface a little bit. But Jesus is telling us that this like parable of the servant and the master, and that in verse 50, the master will return unannounced and unexpected. So this is the second time he said, hey, look, it's going to be unexpected when I come back. But I love this detail that Jesus gives. And he talks about how when the servant is working and when the master is away, again, this is kind of like a great illustration of us. We're the servants. Our master is away, not away, because we know that he's with us, but you know what I mean. He's going to come back, but we're his servants. And so basically, when he comes back, what are we going to be found doing? Are we going to be found wasting our time doing things that he never meant for us to do? Or when he comes back, will he find us doing what he wanted us to do as Christ followers? And it says, if the master returns and finds that the servant has done a good job, there will be a reward. And so I made a little note here, probably, I don't know how long ago, but it said, we must be ready for his return. Let us be found doing what he told us to be doing, following the commandments and spreading his word. So that made me look at my life and analyze kind of my day-to-day routine and how ingrained I am in the wrong things. I started to think about a Christian life of discipline and what does that mean. So in Matthew 7:13, it talks about the narrow road, and that's something that's been on my mind lately too, because it really just connects. When we talk about the narrow road, it connects, everything connects, but the narrow road is less traveled. There's this saying that says, the road to hell feels like heaven, and the road to heaven feels like hell. That's not biblical, by the way, but it's so true because a lot of people in this day and age are just living for every desire, for every whim. Like anything that comes their way, they're just like, yeah, I'll do it. And I had that experience actually not too long ago. Here in town, I went to go out to eat, and it was attached to a bar. And I don't drink. I don't like to go to bars or anything like that. But it was a bar and restaurant, so I'm like overhearing the conversations, and you can tell that these people were already, getting a little tipsy, and their conversations were just so earth focused of giving into to really any desire that they had. They just talking about the decisions that they've made in life, and maybe not the best decisions, but I find that a lot of people are just truly living every day like their life is theirs, and we don't even belong to ourselves. We belong to Jesus. And if you believe in Christ and have come to Christ, and you know that we're not perfect, obviously we're going to make mistakes, we're going to fall off a little bit, but the point is to abide in God and to have him grow fruit. The only way we can get the good fruit is if we're abiding in him. We can't produce fruit on our own. All as Christians are on this journey of a disciplined life as Christ followers. And we should take it seriously. We should start to point out things in our lives that do not align with the Bible, that we can't cherry pick the Bible. We can't say, hey, I want this part of the Bible, but this part I'm just not going to follow. That's not how that works. But the word discipline and living a disciplined life has really been pressed onto me. And part of discipline is also sanctification. Sanctification is such a huge process, and it's not something that comes overnight. It's, in my experience, I've been praying for sanctification throughout my life for at least a year, at least. Um, I have a 5 year journal, a Bible journal, and I can go back and I can see, even if I'm sure if I turn to for today's prayer, that I would, some last year I was probably praying for sanctification as well, or some part of it. And I see that the Lord changes us in many ways. It's a very slow process, um, just like growing fruit or growing um, anything. It's such a slow process, but in that process, there's so much to be found. The Lord teaches us so much. I think the process is where we find Jesus, because if overnight we simply just, you know, became sanctified throughout every area of our lives, I don't know if that would be as rewarding. I don't think that Jesus teaches us through the sanctification of, like, here's the why, and he goes through it with us. It's a really sweet process to endure, because it can be difficult at times. And I just started to think about what is a Christian, what is Christian discipleship? How should we be disciplined as Christians? And so I created a little list, and I've been reading a lot about ways that we can become more disciplined. And the first thing is pretty simple: is prayer and Bible reading. Whenever we open up our Bibles, it's so powerful. It it is it is literally an act of war when we do that. I know that sounds really intense, but it's true. Satan does not like it when we open up our Bibles. Just last night, I sat down, I prayed, and I had like prayer beads with me because they help keep me a little bit more grounded. Um, because I find that I'm often kind of, I'll be praying, and then I'll be thinking about something else regarding whatever is in my daily life, and then I'll realize, oh my goodness, I stopped praying. Like, I need to go back. So I have prayer beads, and I was just praying, and I opened up my Bible, and then last night I didn't have the best dreams, and I've noticed that Satan really loves to infiltrate my dreams. Um, whenever I'm not doing what he wants me to do, Satan will put sin in my dreams. Does that make sense? I don't know if any of you have ever experienced that, but he will also remind you of your sin. Um, I've I I experienced that last night in my dreams, but a really awesome thing that came from it is by the end of the dream. This is not the first time I've had this happen, but I'll look up in the sky and I'll see Jesus. I saw the Sacred Heart, which is not in last night's dream, but in a dream a couple of weeks ago. I just looked up in the sky and I saw it. It was made out of the stars. Like, it was almost like a painting made out of stars. And so last night I had a dream of, like, towards the end of the dream, um, I had looked up to the sky and I had seen Jesus, and, like, again, it was like a painting basically, and it was just it was just kind of cool to see that even in our dreams, Jesus is protecting us and fighting for us. Um, I don't know if anyone has had such a cool experience like that, but lately I've been having some pretty spiritual dreams. where the Lord is just reminding me a lot of things that are in the Bible, and I'm very blessed. I'm sorry if I went off chasing a squirrel, but um, again, the thing is that prayer in the Bible is our foundation as Christians, and to be disciplined, this is where we start. We start here. We start in the Bible. We start reading it, and we start praying. And it's really simple, but it can be really, really difficult for a lot of people. I know that it's difficult for me at times, but the more disciplined that we are with it and setting aside time for the Lord, the more He's going to help us to grow and really cultivate that time. Another thing that I think is a really good part of being disciplined that I've been learning in my life doesn't necessarily apply to everyone, but the Bible teaches us about everything. It's like there's not a topic in the Bible that is not touched on. And so finances are something that I think that we need to be more aware of, especially in this day and age where there's a lot of uncertainty with our economy. And so we become very mindless when we have a card, right? And we just tap it. And I don't think that a disciplined Christian should kind of just go with whatever, go with the wind essentially. And so there's a parable. It might be in Matthew as well, but basically I don't know where it's at. I'm sure that y'all probably, maybe I'll put it in the description when I find it, but basically it's this parable of like giving three servants money and kind of just seeing like what these servants are going to do with their money. And one just doesn't do anything with it. He just buries it in the ground, and when the master comes back, um, he's mad because he didn't even put it in the bank. Like that's the least he could have done for it to accrue interest, but he didn't even do that. And so that verse has been on my mind too, about what am I doing with money. And it doesn't matter if you have $100 or 100,000. You can be responsible with $100, or there are people with $100,000 that are irresponsible. It doesn't matter. It's a mindset. So whatever that means for you, I don't know. Maybe you're watching this video and thinking, I don't need any advice on finances. That's not what I'm trying to imply. I just think that we need to be, as Christ followers, need to be more aware of everything that we're doing in our lives, because Jesus has touched every part of our lives, every aspect. We're blessed in a lot of aspects. So it's not even ours, and it's given back to God anyways. So why should I act like it's all mine? Back to um how some people just kind of go with the wind and they feed their flesh and they go in their desires. It's another really big part of being a Christian, is to resist temptation and to not feed the flesh. We live in a world where we're constantly being fed things that are supposed to feed our flesh. We have access to everything that you can imagine here, and it's all at our fingertips. I mean, it's so easy to get so many things that are not good for us. Alcohol, drugs, uh, porn, everything is just so easily accessible. And it's like our culture is vices. I mean, it doesn't take very long to figure out that people all have vices. And I think it's part of it is just to numb themselves. But what happens when we say, I'm gonna I'm gonna live a little bit differently? And that's part of the narrow road too, is saying I'm not gonna have whatever this vice is. I'm not gonna let it control me. It's not easy for people who struggle with addiction, but we need to cultivate self-control in our lives. That is so important. I see so many people without self-control, and I don't mean to be mean. I'm not calling anyone out or anything like that. But it's kind of funny. Not really funny, but I'll have people maybe try to give me advice on things, and you know, I see their lives and they don't have any control over the basic things in their lives. And why would I take advice from somebody who can't even control themselves and their desires? Why would I accept advice from somebody like that, right? I don't know. And part of that is replacing those advices with good things. We also live in a culture that needs to constantly be entertained. And I've noticed that that's been a problem for me. Just having music or watching a YouTube video. I had to actually delete YouTube from my phone. I just I download YouTube on my phone whenever I'm about to upload a video. But it becomes such a vice when it's on my phone because it's so easily accessible. It's just an app, you know? And I don't want to be found when the Lord comes back on my phone watching a YouTube video. Um, I pray that I'm not doing that. And I saw this great illustration when I was on Pinterest. Funny because that's also entertainment. Um, but it's this photo of this man on a couch, and the TV is on, and he's asleep, um, and Jesus is at his door knocking. And I think, I mean, it was just when I saw that picture on Pinterest, I was like, wow, this couldn't have come at a more perfect time. I've never seen this photo, but this describes what we are dealing with in our society. That we constantly seek outside sources of entertainment or addiction or vices, and we completely forget that Jesus is at the door knocking, right? I believe that self control is the way or the path to the narrow road, right? The narrow road, we're on it once we accept Jesus. But I believe that in order to stay on the narrow road, we have to continue to evaluate ourselves and our actions. And that's not easy. I'm not here to tell you that I'm perfect. But I made this video really just to maybe the Lord will put something on your heart. Maybe you can add to the conversation. Um, but ask for sanctification in your lives if you are someone who is also struggling with essentially keeping your attention away from Christ and onto the world. The more we disconnect from the world, the more we can connect with God. I truly believe that. And that's what I want to do with my life is find how can I find the balance of that disconnection, serving Christ, helping people, not get caught up with whatever we're doing right now in the world, because we are living in some really crazy times. And I I do think that, or hope that I would be in the generation uh, that will see Jesus come back. Of course, we don't know that. We don't know anything. But yeah, I'm sorry for the long video. I think that this is a very long video. Yeah, it's gonna be a long video. I'll try to cut it down a little bit. But yeah, feel free to add to the conversation, and any comments or support would be great. Um, I'll post a link down below for a buy me a coffee, which I think it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess you can donate, but it's not anything that I'm saying that you should. Um, just if you want to, you can. I want to put it back into videos. I want to put it back into, you know, doing something for you guys. So yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.